Here we are with another fuck around and find out situation. It seems that this is happening a lot with the Donald Trump administration. So I brought you guys a video recently about a farmer who was selling alfalfa, and he was realizing that because of the tariffs, they're going to lose their farm possibly because China is not buying their alfalfa right now. This next farmer who says he's a Trump supporter, currently still a Trump supporter, wants us to know that we need to share his video because it needs to get out there so that Donald Trump knows what he's about to do is going to hurt small family farms. Check this shit out.
I'm a supporter of President Donald Trump. Voted for him in this election and the last and the one prior to that. However, President Trump is about to allow JBS, the world's most corrupt beef organization, to become publicly traded in America. President Donald Trump will be the president that allows for the complete destruction of the small, independent family farms and cattle ranches if he allows this to go through.
Newsflash, Donald Trump does not give a damn about you. But you know who gives even less of a damn about you? Myself and all the other liberals you thought you were owning when you voted for Donald Trump. What we got for you is a bunch of middle fingers, man. We're like, fuck you. We don't care. We don't care if you lose your farm, bro. You voted for Donald Trump. You even said at the beginning of this video, I am a supporter of Donald Trump. Why the hell would we give a damn about your gripes? You're getting exactly what you voted for. I love when I see the memes and the conservatives out there saying, screw you liberals. This is exactly what I voted for. This is exactly what you voted for. I don't know why you're making this video. This should be a thank you video because this is what you voted for.
The FCC has already approved it. Now we're just waiting a mere few days for them to allow it on the stock exchange. And what's concerning is we haven't heard a word from the Secretary of Agriculture about this. We haven't heard any of the large cattle organizations that represent cattlemen speak out about this. They claim to represent cattlemen. The truth is they only represent the big guys. They're bought and paid for by the same organizations, JBS, Cargill, Tyson, National Beef, all the collusion that's happening. Go do a very simple search and you'll see the millions and millions and tens upon millions of dollars that these companies have been ordered to pay for collusion and price fixing, which has cost us our family farms and ranches. And what that costs us as the people who aren't family farms and ranches is a stable food system. As much as I'm a supporter of many of the other things that Trump is doing.
And there you have it. He's a supporter of many of the things Donald Trump is doing. And what he's talking about there is the hate and the bigotry. You see, he came for the bigotry. He came for the deportations. He came for the hate against the gay and trans community. But what he's getting out of it is possibly losing his farm, losing his shit, losing all the things that he worked so hard for. So here's the deal. Understand something. He wants...
Hey guys, I hope you all had a great weekend. I wanted to drop by today to talk about the Nebraska farmers situation again. And I know a lot of us, with all of the videos we had been seeing around, or at least I had been seeing around, a lot of people were saying, you know, Nebraska didn't care about Nebraska, and why are we supposed to care about Nebraska, and Nebraska didn't care about Nebraska? How could Nebraska vote against their best interests by voting for mass deportation of their workforce? And I was saying, why would you purposely go to get rid of your workforce and not have a backup plan for the people that you're getting rid of, especially if your business is relying on that workforce? Your hatred can't be that blinding and that overwhelming that you can't think about your bottom line, especially when it comes to your businesses. Some of these farms have been in those people's families for over 300 years. You can't tell me you did not think about who is going to come in and replace these vital workers for your survival. One thing I do keep thinking back on is Trump kept saying during this campaign that the illegals were here stealing the blacks' jobs. he just kept harping on the black jobs, and everybody was like, what the hell is a black job? Well, this is just my perspective, or it's just my thought. I'm thinking that the Virginians and all the rest of the people who were depending on illegal immigrants for their labor, they kept hearing Trump saying that the black people jobs were being taken. I'm thinking in their minds, they were hearing Trump saying the black people are going to come back to those jobs. In my mind, I'm thinking they were hearing Trump says the black people are going to replace all those immigrants out in the fields and on the farms and all of that. I'm thinking that's what they were hearing. That's why they weren't messed up about voting to get rid of their illegal immigrants. They were thinking that the black people were going to step up and take those jobs back, because Trump kept saying these illegal immigrants are stealing the blacks' jobs. And therefore, in their mind, they heard we were getting our 1,800 slaves back. They had to have thought that their backup plan, Trump was going to miraculously, somehow, magically put all the black people back out in those fields, on those farms, and they were going to continue to get their work done. Now, that's just my thinking, because you cannot tell me that you as a business owner would get rid of your workforce and not have a backup plan. You are not going to knowingly and willingly walk into a bankruptcy, walk into losing your business, walk into losing your farms that have been in your family for 300 years unless you thought there was a backup plan. And the backup plan was supposed to be the blacks. That's why y'all ran out there and voted against your best interest, because when you heard Donald Trump said they were stealing the blacks' jobs, y'all in your twisted mind thought that the blacks were going to magically appear back in those positions. The blacks were just going to be coming from everywhere to take on those positions. You had to have thought that, because y'all not going to tell me that in your minds you were okay with losing your livelihoods, that you didn't have a backup plan to come in after the immigrants would be deported. You can't convince me that people who own those farms and worked on those farms, you cannot tell me that you looked out there and saw your workforce, and you know what your workforce is made up of, and you purposely went out there and said, yeah, get rid of all of them, with no backup plan. You know what it takes to run your farms. You know how many people it takes to run your farms. There is no way you got rid of all of those people and did not expect to have somebody to come in and pick up the slack. Y'all thought y'all were getting slaves back. You had to have thought that. You had to have thought black people were going to be the ones replacing the immigrants, and you would not miss a beat. But when those immigrants fled and those fields became empty and those farms became deserted, then y'all want to run around crying, does anybody care about Nebraska? Does anybody care about Nebraska? No. Let's go back. What was your thought process as to when the immigrants go, when they deport them? What was your thought process on who was going to come in and pick up that slack? Because 60% of y'all went out there and voted for Trump. So what was that 60% thinking? What was your plan B for when the immigrants are gone? Who was going to come in, step in, and pick up that workload and get your bottom and keep your bottom line moving? What was that thought process? Who were the replacements for the illegal immigrants that you guys went and voted against? Who were the replacements? You guys thought it was going to be black people. Y'all thought Donald Trump was going to magically make black people appear in y'all farms and on y'all fields to get their work done. Why? I have no idea. Other than he kept saying that they were taking the black jobs. Y'all thought that just because he said that, black people were going to be running down there to them fields? It's absolutely bizarre. You can't convince me y'all put everything, your whole life, y'all whole livelihood, generations of farms being in y'all family. You can't tell me you put that up at risk and did not have a backup plan. You can't tell me y'all purposely destroyed y'all lives and y'all farms without having a backup plan to replace the illegals. It's just not making sense. But racism never has made sense. Guys, these are some really eye-opening times we're dealing with. And another thing I want to touch on before I leave today. President Musk is really working hard to get up under the black people's skin. He's trying to find a button to push to make us hit them streets. Now he wants the government to stop funding, to stop the lease for the Obama Library. And he also wants the United States government to sell our National Black Museum, one of our National Black Museums. I think it was the Montgomery Boys bus. Something to do with that. I think that's what it was. So do you see what they're doing? When the threat to pardon Derek Chauvin did nothing, now they're going for other intricacies that they know black people hold near and dear, which is telling us they are going to keep nitpicking until they can think they can get us out there. No matter what they do not give them what they're looking for. I don't care what they do at this point, but it needs to be seen the extremes they're going to go to. That needs to be seen.
Welcome back to Echo Room Vibes, where history claps back politely. Today's menu: bitter crops, salty tears, and a sprinkle of centuries-old irony. So let's talk about the latest episode in America's never-ending reality show, White Farmers. Yes, the same ones whose ancestors might have overseen plantations are now begging black folks to come back to the fields. You heard that right. So let's quickly dive into the rest of the video and we'll be back for more commentary.
I think people will look and say, but wait a minute, they're Americans who are unemployed. Why can't you just hire them?
They don't want to come out here and work in this extreme conditions. 100+ degree temperatures, dust, hard work.
What if you paid them more?
It doesn't matter. We pay some of the highest wages for farm workers in the nation right here in California, and they won't come out. In California, we grow about 50% of the fruits and vegetables and nuts for the country. And any shortage of food like that is going to impact everybody in the nation, because not only will food be less available, it'll be more expensive.
Manuel Cunha Jr. runs the Nice Farmers League, a trade organization representing farmers and farm workers in the Fresno area. He says Trump's promise to deport all undocumented migrants would disrupt the entire country.
If you took away my workforce, you wouldn't eat. If you go into the San Joaquin Valley and you start doing what you're saying, it's over. The country will stop. It'll literally stop because the food system won't move.
And like Joe Del Bosque, he insists these undocumented farm workers are not taking jobs that would otherwise go to American citizens.
I don't care what you pay them. I don't care if you pay them $26 an hour. It ain't going to happen. They're not going to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, drive to the field, and pick fruit.
There's no strategy. I have no strategy.
I'm a supporter of President Donald Trump. Voted for him in this election and the last, and the one prior to that. However, President Trump is about to allow JBS, the world's most corrupt beef organization, to become publicly traded in America. President Donald Trump will be the president that allows for the complete destruction of the small, independent family farms and cattle ranches. If surprise, 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 he allows this to go through. The SEC has already approved it. Now we're just waiting a mere few days for them to allow it on the stock exchange. Surprise, 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 surprise. And what's concerning is we haven't heard a word from the Secretary of Agriculture about this. We haven't heard any of the large cattle organizations that represent cattlemen speak out about this. They claim to represent cattlemen. The truth is they only represent the big guys. They're bought and paid for by the same organizations, JBS, Cargill, Tyson, National Beef, all the collusion that's happening. Go do a very simple search and you'll see the millions and millions and tens upon millions of dollars that these companies have been ordered to pay for collusion and price fixing, which has cost us our family farms and ranches. And what that costs us as the people who aren't family farms and ranches is a stable food system. As much as I'm a supporter of many of the other things that Trump is doing, anything else in the world that we're working to accomplish and achieve doesn't matter when you have famine and you starve to death. So, Mr. President, I love you. I appreciate you. It is our job as citizens to hold you accountable. And whoever you've got in your circle, they ain't speaking truth because you're about to put us in a whole world of hurt. Folks, I need you to share this. This is urgent. We've only got a mere few days, and we need millions of people to put pressure to stop this, or it's going to be it'll be a much harder fight to come back from. Thanks, everybody.
There's zero strategy.
Welcome back, fam. After decades of systemic exclusion, land theft, and economic sabotage, suddenly it's we need help with the harvest. And here is the kicker. Not one boot scuffed, not a field fertilized before some of these farmers went on a tear claiming nobody wants to work anymore. Well, maybe, just maybe, folks don't want to work for you. Now we ain't saying karma wears overalls, but if it did, it would be holding a pitchfork and sipping sweet tea on the porch while y'all figure out how to run that farm without generationally exploited labor. One TikTok stitch had a farmer crying, "We used to have good help. Where did they all go?" And Black Twitter answered like a choir, "To therapy, to college, to better paying jobs with health insurance and dignity." Remember when black farmers were pushed out by discriminatory USDA lending? When land was stolen or burned out from under them, and now, all these years later, the very same soil cries out, but this time, the hands that once toiled say, "Not my harvest, not my headache." Some viewers stitched a viral video of a weeping Georgia peach farmer with a simple line, "You reap what you sow." Let's be clear. This isn't about revenge. It's about respect. If you are shocked that no one wants to pick lettuce for $3.75 per hour with no benefit, maybe it's time to rethink the system, not the workers. The labor drought, it ain't new. You just stopped noticing once the workers were black, brown, or undocumented. But now that the field is full of silence, you finally hear the ghost of Oscarville, Tulsa, and G's Bend whispering, "We told you." Look, Echo Room doesn't cosign hate or humiliation, but we do amplify reality. If farmers truly want help, it starts with treating labor like humans, not tools. That means fair pay, safe condition, and historical accountability. And to the black folks getting calls from former employers who once wouldn't let you use the front door, asking you to come back and pick strawberries, you have the right to say, I'm booked. Try karma.com. Shout out to the original stitchers and commentators bringing truth with humor. If you're watching till now, drop a basket emoji in the comments and tell us what you think. Echo Room Vibes reads everyone. From Echo Room Vibes, peace out.
Rap jingle, Echo Room Vibes. Beat kicks in, chill lo-fi or boom bap vibe. Catchy and melodic. Echo Room Vibes, yeah, we bring that heat. Set us so smooth, never miss a beat. No cap, no bias, just keeping it real. Comment what you think, tell us how you feel. One stop spot for the daily scroll. Drama, fact, and a little bit of soul. Reacting to the world with a comic twist. We roast and reflects, nothing gets missed. No agendas, just that clever spark. We shine like what it takes to dark. Respect the clip, Stitch's origin too. We give the credit, that's how we do. Hope you beat with variation, Echo Room Vibes. You keep us fly, shout out every end, that 1,000 guy. Like comments, get part of the tribe. Join the room, catch the vibe, fill the job. To all our subs, you keep us fly. Shout out every end, that 1,000 guy. We see you watching, don't just slide. Drop that fire emoji, show your pride.